OTAs have officially begun for the Dallas Cowboys, with today being the first official day of OTAs, even though it was a non-media viewing session, which means you really won't get much insights from the media as it pertains to day one of OTAs. But there are some interesting narratives and storylines that we need to keep an eye on during this organized team activities period. Let's get right into it as we ask some questions and give some answers to some of the most burning questions and storylines to keep an eye on. And be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular, all offseason, and throughout the regular season, of course. Man, shut your up. All right, guys, so this article is actually written by Tommy Yarrish, and we're going to kind of be using this to quarterback today's show a little bit. And I want to go down the list because I think he did a good job of kind of chronicling the most important questions that fans are going to be looking to have answered during this OTA period. And the first question is an obvious one. Will Micah Parsons participate on the field? Tommy Yarrish writes, All-Pro Micah Parsons is the latest Cowboys star to enter OTAs, awaiting a contract extension as he heads into the last year of his rookie deal. All indications from Parsons and the Cowboys are that a deal will eventually get done, but nothing has happened up until this point. Parsons reported to the team's voluntary workouts in April, but will that continue into OTAs? Parsons said, quote, I'll still be around, when asked if he'd report to training camp if no deal is done. For me, I've still got to learn a playbook, and I'm not so much of an iPad person where I can just keep learning. I've got to walk through it. Maybe it's so much I might not be on the field part of it, but I'll be there learning, so that way I'm at least getting prepared to be ready for week one. Tommy Yarrish then notes, though, very acutely, by the way, he says training camp in the summer at OTAs are two separate things, but at the end of that quote makes it sound like there's a possibility Parsons could hold out of participating on the field in OTAs, but still take place in meetings and other team activities as both sides try to reach the finish line on a new contract. And I think that's probably exactly what we're going to end up seeing, because I don't think there's actually a world where Micah Parsons or really his representatives feel like that Micah is going to want to take any extreme measures to try to force a contract to happen, because by all measures, y'all, the contract is going to happen. At this point, I think the agent and Jerry are still playing a game of chicken of, okay, who's going to pick up the phone first? Who's going to actually start the negotiations? And obviously, we already discussed this ad nauseum. The agent has a lot to do with what's taking the hold up on the contract right now. Don't look at the Cowboys. Don't look at Micah. A lot of this has to do with, is the agent ready to play ball with the Cowboys, or the Cowboys ready to play ball with the agent? However you want to look at that situation. But this is very smart by Micah Parsons, and I fully expect Micah to be there for all offseason activities, even if he isn't on the field. And to be honest, with how many injuries and how we were ravaged before the season even got started last year, I wouldn't be mad if some of our more valuable pieces sat out some of these drills that they really aren't getting a whole lot from necessarily. And maybe they went about other ways of trying to make sure that they stay in the loop, because once you get to a certain point in your career, man, all these OTAs and practices and stuff, I get it. We got a new coaching staff, but some of this stuff starts to become a little bit redundant, and you don't want these guys going down with non-contact injuries, anything silly going on at OTAs. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen, right? So I wouldn't be mad at Micah if he went to the facility and he was there and he was present and he was with his teammates, but maybe he was kind of holding out some of the physical activities because he doesn't have his future secure yet. And he does want to kind of send a message like, hey, I do need this to happen. So I fully expect something along those lines to happen as it pertains to Micah Parsons and his involvement with OTAs. Now, as it pertains to Dak Prescott, this is the next question that Tommy asked, and I'm going to say this right now. I don't expect Dak to be doing a whole heck of a lot during OTAs, man. Dak does his own work with his receivers all throughout the offseason, and so by no means is him participating in OTAs going to make or break whether or not he's going to be successful this upcoming season. He's still nursing that hamstring injury. I think with all these guys, you want to kind of baby step them back in to make sure that they're fully ready, fully healthy, and ready to go for the actual season. So let Rocket Arm Joe, let Rocket Joe get some reps in. Let some of these other guys get some reps in, and let Dak kind of slow play himself back in to where he will be 100%, because we cannot afford for QB1 to go down, not in a season where the offense looks like it could be explosive as it could be, right? So Dak, take your time. I hope that we don't see a lot of Dak. I mean, it would be good to see a little bit of Dak just to see that he's on track. But I don't want to see him overdoing it, y'all. So at this point, Dak, you can sit on the sideline and sip on some Volteo for all I care, bro. You don't need to be out there damaging nothing. Rest your hammy. Rest your hammy. What does the CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens dynamic look like? I think that's probably going to be one of the most exciting things all summer long, is seeing the different highlights that we're going to see from CeeDee and George Pickens, especially when we're seeing practice tape, when training camp gets here, of the ones out there on the field, right? We're seeing CeeDee and George Pickens on the field at the same time. That's going to be the most exciting thing, I think, this whole entire offseason, is just seeing how explosive this team can really be, seeing that chemistry between Dak Prescott and George Pickens develop, and even more so into the season, kind of seeing how Dak manages having two #1 receivers on his team, essentially. Are you still going to see a spread where CeeDee's getting 10 targets and George Pickens is getting like 5 and then Ferguson's getting 5? Or we're going to see those targets for CeeDee come down? I want to see how Dak is going to manage that. And I'm super excited to see what this offense is going to look like with those two guys out there. And I'm more excited to see how Brian Schottenheimer is going to schematically use all these guys and what this team is going to look like. That's also something else to keep an eye on, is how different is the offense going to look? I know it's going to be walkthroughs and stuff like that, but how different is the offense going to look? Are we going to see the Cowboys utilizing any new actions or actions they may have rarely used in the past? We see them using that more. What are the blocking schemes going to look like? A lot of the real nitty-gritty football stuff is the stuff that you're really going to be looking at OTAs, because, again, this is not like full padded practices and stuff like that. So a lot of it, you're really just going to be looking at how the players looking, and George Pickens' new number. That's another storyline to keep an eye on. Tyler Guyton and Mazi Smith, how do they look out there? Is Mazi Smith bigger? Is Tyler Guyton bigger? Are these guys in the type of shape that we need them to be in to play the positions we need them to play? Those are going to be interesting storylines and questions to keep an eye on that we're going to be discussing throughout the course of the week as OTAs are taking place, or the next 2 weeks or so as OTAs are taking place. And I think a very, very interesting topic that Tommy Yars brought up is who can rise to the top in the running back and cornerback rooms. Now, the cornerback room is going to be especially interesting because I want to see how these guys are going to be deployed. Are they going to use Savon as a nickel? Are they going to use Elam as a nickel? They're going to have Elam on the outside. They're going to have Savon on the outside. They're going to have Izzy in the nickel. Like, how are they going to deploy these guys out there as far as the corners go? And which running backs get the most work with the ones? Which running back seems like they're the one that's kind of earmarked to be the lead dog in that committee, right? We know it's going to be a committee, but which running back do they really honestly have earmarked as the one that's going to be RB1, essentially? So that's also very, very interesting stuff to keep an eye on. So Cowboys OTAs is going to bring us some answers to some very interesting questions, and we're going to have some interesting football stuff to discuss. Not necessarily with people to talk about stuff like that. Hopefully we'll have some interesting football information to discuss as soon as we start having some of these practices open to the media, and the media starts getting a chance to talk to some of these guys as OTAs are taking place. I'm sure we're going to get some nice nuggets of information. So be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for more Dallas Cowboys content. And even more so, man, I got a birthday stream coming up on this upcoming Wednesday, May 21st. Be sure to be there, hang out with your boy. I'm going to rock with y'all for a little bit on my birthday, man. Do some call-ins and have some fun. So be sure to lock in for that as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one, man. How about them Cowboys?
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.